and welcome to Superintendent's Corner. I'm your host, Marnie Maddock. Today, I'm so excited. We have the amazing opportunity to meet USD 305 Superintendent, Dr. Jim Hardy, and we are so excited for him to be here and to meet him and to hear about his journey to Salina and all the great things that USD 305 always does. So without further ado, take it away.
Thank you. Well, I'm Dr. Jim Hardy,
Yes.
Superintendent. This is my, it's only 3 months in, but I've seen so much and been a part of so much, it seems like it's been a year. I feel like I've had a year worth of experiences in 3 months.
I bet.
So it's awesome. I would just tell you, one of the big joys of what I get to do, being new to the community, is you get to use your newness a lot. So as a new person, that means I get to say, well, tell me about this, tell me about that. The awesome part about that is people get to brag on their community and they get to brag on their school. And I learned so much, and just it's so affirming that this is a great place to be.
And tell me, what made you think Salina? What brought you to USD 305?
Well, that is an interesting thing. My wife and I were just talking about this. There's like this karma that has happened. I've always liked Salina. It's always been on my radar. And there were a few times that I thought, hey, that might be a good match, but it was never the right timing. I was in a position that I felt loyalty to, that I couldn't leave. But I've had relatives that have always talked about Salina is the place to be. And so I thought, oh, okay, that's just never going to happen. So when I got the call and they said, hey, would you be interested in going to Salina and visiting with the Board of Education? I thought, oh my gosh, this is karma. This is just too amazing. So I had the opportunity to come up and visit with our Board of Education. Just so you know, I made a bunch of calls first.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out, what Salina is really like from the school perspective. So I called area superintendents that I knew, because superintendents kind of all know each other. And they just bragged about Salina. It was interesting because, there's like this competition between schools. But to have superintendents that you know who really are being honest, and they say, there are great things happening in Salina. So right away I'm going, okay, I'm interested. And then the other thing, before I even decided to say yes to come up and visit, I made some calls to the State Department of Education. There's a couple folks there that have been around for a long time. They're very respected around the whole state. And so I called Dr. Dale Dennis, or not Mr. Dennis. He's like the most respected person in all of Kansas for education. He's been in the State Department for he's celebrating his 50th year.
Wow.
And so he knows a thing or two.
Yeah.
And he said, oh, Jim, he said, Salina is a great place and you would be a good fit. So I waited a little while and I called him back again. I said, Dale, I need to hear that again. And he said, with their bond issue, the community support, he said, that is a good place to be. So I made a few more calls and I said, yeah, I think I'll go visit. So I came here, I met with the Board of Education. I could tell by the questions, what kind of person they were looking for. And when I left that day, I thought, wow, I hope I get the call.
Awesome.
I really hope I get the call.
And you did.
I did, yes. It was very, very affirming that I thought, okay, everything that people have been telling me that it's a good match, is true. So I was very honored.
Well, I say this all the time through the years of just at Access TV and our relationship with 305, and I will just say, truly, 305, USD 305, always has so many awesome things happening. To be honest with you, you guys are hard to keep up with. I will be honest, but that's a good problem. But that's a great thing, because whether it's the bond issue or what have you guys are always changing and just doing what's best for kids and for the community. And anyone who says differently, I can't even imagine why, because all I know is it's always positive. There's always so many great things happening, and I don't know how you and all of the staff and in the school district, I don't know, and the board, how you guys all do it, but you all do great things, because it just, and I even say this before I was a parent of a child in 305. I mean, just as the gal that used to cover the meetings, it was very insightful and informative and interesting, and just like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that school districts had to discuss all these important issues. I mean, I guess, I don't know, there were just tons of things I didn't know, but you guys are just always, it always seems like 305 is always so many steps ahead, which is great.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because one of the people I called and talked to, Dr. Randy Watson, he's the Commissioner of Education for Kansas. And Dr. Watson and I actually went to school together at K-State.
Oh, cool.
So we've known each other since the 70s. And I knew I could call him
Which
and
means
get
you're young. Sorry,
oh, yeah,
forgive
sorry.
me. You're very young.
Late 70s.
Very young.
Late 70s. So Dr. Watson, I called him. I said, Randy, tell me what I need to know. He goes, it's a premier school district. Awesome. Those are his words. It's a premier school district. You know, and you talked about the bond a little bit. I think, you know, the community graciously decided to support our school district. Well, they always have, but in such a major way, a $100 million bond issue. And so, and the other part that's more powerful than just the buildings, I know the taxpayers are thinking, well, yeah, we got buildings, but they're cutting edge buildings. It's just not, you know, classrooms. They are classrooms that are aligned to our curriculum.
Yeah.
And, you know, even this is another part that I just have found that is so tremendous. Our community supported not just the buildings, but what we're doing within the buildings.
Yes.
You know, the Chamber of Commerce and our business community, they are the ones that help us decide what pathways we were going to do for our students. You know, like the construction science. They're the ones that said, yes, this is what we need. We need employees in construction science. So all these different areas, it's just not that we did it in a silo. It was such a community effort. So that is the powerful part. And when I say that we're a premier school district, you know, these new facilities that we have, they are tremendous. Other districts wish not just that they could have the nice schools that we have, but what's going on in them because of the construction that was done for curriculum. So that's the powerful part that I think I'd like to highlight because we're so grateful that we have these awesome facilities. And the community should also be proud of what's happening in them with the curriculum.
And you know, it's always so awesome too. I love all the time when the community highlights all the positive things, not just sports, although sports are great, but all the academic things, all the diverse things that all the kids are doing in 305. It's just, I feel it's such a blessing to our community that our community sees that it's not just one area that USD 305 students excel. It's very well-rounded, and that just speaks so highly of the whole entire entity. I mean, you just cannot, to be honest with you, I don't know that you could plan that. It just happens because great people are involved. Great people care, they're invested, and it goes all the way board, you know, administration, teachers, students, parents, the whole shebang. But it just truly, I'm just so glad you're here, and what a great time, right? I mean, you've come in at a good time. I mean, we're in transition, and it's perfect because you're transitioning, and how cool is that? You
know, and I'm glad you said that about all the things that are going on. One of the first things that I got to do, I put out an email to all the principals. I would love to meet your student councils. So right away before school even got started, you know, student council, they have like their little retreats. So what I did was I went to each of the student councils and I asked them questions. Instead of me talking, you know, they don't want to just hear from me. They want to know. Surely they do. Shocking. What? They want to know who I am. But, you know, so I asked them, I said, what are you most proud about your school? The list went on and on and on. One of the things I heard, and this really I felt like enabled me to use the word, because I always believe this, they use the word family a lot. Cool. Isn't that powerful? That's very good, yes. That each of the student councils, they use the word family. They would say, we're like a family. That's even at the high school level, the students would say that. We're like a family. We're diverse. We come from all different backgrounds. We all have different things that we like. We might be sports. We might be fine arts. But we're a family. I thought, wow, to hear that from the students. That's and then cool. They went on to list all the things they do and all the things they're excited about. And fine arts was really big. I was real pleased about that. Well, yeah. We like music. Yeah. Our drama department are amazing. I mean, yes. You know, we have all our. I'm a little partial, but of course, yes. We have all our plays coming up. And I also, another great way to get to know kids. Early on, I went out to band practices. You know, summer band practices. Oh, cool. Oh, it's fun. It's fun. You know, just to see our students out there working hard in the summer and getting excited about the school year. So you were talking about people. One of the things I appreciate the most is the people in this community are very proud of their school. Yes. If I want to have a long conversation, all I have to do is tell me what you like about our schools. And the parents, community members, our Chamber of Commerce, wow, they go on and on because they're very supportive because we're an integral part of the community and the welfare and the economic support of our community. So just to listen to it, it's just affirming. I mean, I can't even, you'd have to give me days to list all the things that are going on here that are so phenomenal.
That is so cool. So cool. Well, hey, I know there's a few key points that we want to discuss in addition to the greatness of you, and we're so glad you're here, and so glad that you're our superintendent, and again, just investing your time into our children and our community that just, you know, I mean, yeah, I'm a parent, and yes, we're on TV and I'm interviewing you, but truly, you know, if it so comes through that
I
you
appreciate
care.
that, but it is so easy when you work with great people. I mean, we have phenomenal employees in our district. Our leadership at the building level, I mean, they just love kids.
Yeah.
Our central office leadership, all the folks that work there, everything we do is about our kids.
Yeah.
And when you love kids, you want to give 100%.
Yeah. And 305, in my experience, just in the time I've been at Access, that has been consistent all the way through. It's always positive. What more can we do to empower our kids, because their investment in our community and our future, and just I can't think of anybody that I've ever encountered at 305 truly that just doesn't love what they're doing, doesn't love and doesn't believe in 305 and the mission. So you guys, I'm always going to be your cheerleader, just know. There's never a question about that, but it's well deserved. You guys have earned it, and you guys are just phenomenal.
Well, I'm the one who's blessed to be the superintendent, but I get to work with all these great people, and it is inspiring. I mean, every day you just can't wait to come back. Honestly,
That's
that good.
Great.
It's that good.
That's so cool. That is super cool. That deserves like jazz hands. Do you do jazz hands? Ready? Jazz hands.
Okay.
Ooh, yes. Well, hey, tell me, because I do. You know, we could continue to just talk about how fabulous 305 is, which it is. But I do have a few questions I want to ask you. But tell me about is it IPS, the Individual Plans of Study? Tell me about this, because
Marnie.
I don't know a lot about this. So help educate myself in the community about this.
Well, Marnie, here's what I would share. IPS is Individual Plan of Study. For parents, that's really important. Individual Plans of Study, IPS. I think you probably know this already, especially if you have a middle school or high school student. But it's a collaboration between the parents, the school, and the student. Here's some statistics that are kind of scary. The dropout rate for college is 50%.
Really?
50%. There's a lot of parents paying big dollars to send their kids to find out that they're not ready for college, they don't really want to go to college, or whatever the case may be. So dropout rate is 50%. Here's another statistic that I think is crazy. Over 80% of students going to college change their major.
That doesn't surprise me. Well, I mean, it's, you know, I can understand that.
So 80% change it once, 50% change it twice.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, in the midst of all that, you know, students end up dropping out of school, coming back to school, they end up having to retake classes, go extra semesters. So the Individual Plan of Study, what we're doing is we're finding out what our students are interested in. What truly are you interested? A pathway. Are you a service person? Are you a person who is more about logistics? What is the thing that you want to do? So be thinking about your own students. So as you think about that, you go, okay, so, you know, it used to, maybe a plan of study used to be, these are the classes that you have to take to graduate from high school. What kind of a plan of study is that?
Yeah.
Now we start at middle school, we used to have a thing called career cruising. Students can get on there and find out really what their interests are. And you know, you're not nailed to it either. If you kind of get interested in, you know, like fine arts, and you realize, well, I like it, but I don't know if I want to do that for a career, you can change. But we're starting to nail it down. So by the time you get in high school, you kind of have some ideas, some different pathways. And then we have all these pathways. We have a law pathway. We have a teaching education pathway. We have construction science. We have welding. We have all these incredible CTE classes and pathways that students can take. So they're interested. They find out, okay, this is something I really want to do for the rest of my life. Or at least, although we know people change careers often.
Yes.
But at least we can give them a start.
Definitely.
So when you go to college, we don't want our students to be part of that 50% dropout rate. But here's what we also know. 71% of all the jobs in Kansas require some type of industry-approved document. So it can be a bachelor's, it can be an associate degree, it can be a welding certificate, it can be a EMS, but 71%. So we want our students to be part of that 71%. And so these pathways, we talked about how the buildings were built for curriculum.
Yeah.
If you go to our high schools and you walk around, you go, wow, this isn't anything like I've seen before. Because it's built for curriculum, not just 4 walls with desks lined up.
That's
so the
awesome.
excitement of that is incredible. So when we talk about all these things about an IPS is the game changer. So now you have your individual plan of study, and you're telling us that you really want to be a service person. You haven't narrowed it down yet, but as you go through school, you're getting closer and closer.
Yeah.
It could be law. Who knows? It could be the health field. You don't know if you want to be a doctor, a nurse, a phlebotomist, a x-ray tech, but we're going to help you get there. And so all of a sudden the school is more interesting.
Definitely.
It means more to you, it's more applicable. So by the time you get to your senior year, you go, okay, I got this figured out. And so you're not part of that 50% dropout. You might change your major, but you might stay in the same college or the same department. Or you might say, man, I do like welding. And welding is in high demand. Incredible demand.
I've heard that. I mean, yeah, I've heard that they're just dying to get individuals to fulfill their job needs.
Yeah, and that's another thing that people, and I think it's an education thing, because we all go to college, so we think, like parents, my child has to go to college. Well, parents, I'm just telling you, as difficult as that may be, only 30% of the jobs in Kansas require a college education, a 4-year college education. So that's another reason we might have that 50% dropout, because students go to college because they think they have to.
Yeah.
Because their friends are going and they say, okay, I'm going to school.
It's the thing to do.
Yeah, so they think, I'm going to go do that. And they get there and go, why am I here? This isn't what I want to do. When we know we need trade skills tremendously.
Yes.
And yes, they pay as well as college degrees.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
So for parents that don't understand that, that's a career.
And isn't there a great marriage between USD 305 and the technical school here in Salina? Just about I read about it all the time, just about how the great connections that are happening.
That is true. We have a great connection with our tech college. And it kind of all blends together very nicely. I think the most powerful thing is, and this really comes from our community supporting us when we set up the pathways, we want to be a conduit to our community for employees.
Definitely.
For people that are ready. They not only have the soft skills, but they can contribute to our community. They can be good citizens. They can have this wonderful life. And us collaborating with the parents with something as simple as an individual plan of study that gives them the pathway, all of a sudden our students have focus.
Yeah.
So that's powerful.
It is, yeah, and and I'm sure you can relate, just, even though we may not be as young as we might have been back in the day. Not that we're old, we're just experienced, right?
Thank you.
But just being engaged, and just when you find when you find what just sparks your interest, your passion, what you know you're meant to do, you're just so on fire for that. And it's so excellent that you guys have tapped into that and with the pathways. That's so, so awesome. I'll never forget, and I'm not complaining about my high school experience. I'm just saying, back in the day, I think I took a test and they thought I should either be a hairdresser, which is funny because I'm horrible at hair, or a minister, which is even more funny. But, both of those professions would have been dreadful, bless my heart. So the fact that 305 and you and your staff have really taken the time to develop these pathways and just really help guide students to, hey, and it, like you said, not set in stone. Let's try this. Maybe you have an interest in welding or what have you. Let's try it. But how awesome is that for give the kids real experience, to give them a good idea? So it's more than just, of course, you got to have English, math, science, of course, those things, but just that extra oomph to keep them motivated, to keep them wanting to excel and succeed and be successful in life. That's just awesome. That's it's so cool the education is shifted to that way. That's just awesome. And
I guess it's a couple points. One point is, I would think to a student who loves construction, they want to build houses, whatever they want to do. How cool is that?
Yeah.
That's an amazing thing. I would never live in anything I built. Because
sure?
I would not have any trust. But we have our students right now, when they leave us, they can jump right in. Plus, they'll earn additional skills as they go along. But wow, they'll be able to do that. And they're affirmed that we recognize how valuable that is, how important that is.
Yes.
So that's one of the important parts of that.
That's huge. That's huge.
So I think, yeah, that makes me feel really good about what we're doing. And when I say, we're a premier school district, that's what it means.
Yeah, and how could anyone argue with that? I mean, that is just golden. I mean, that just, because, I might have been, and not to always reference to myself, but truly, just because I have a daughter who's in middle school, but, we're approaching soon the high school years, I had no clue what I wanted to do in life. And had I had this experience back then, how impactful that would have been. I didn't come to a realization until my 30s about Access TV. So, it would have been great had the pathways that the school district I attended had this kind of a program initiated, because it just gives kids opportunity to explore, to be engaged, to investigate, and that is the value to that is just amazing.
And I really need to compliment our elementary teachers, because what they're doing with our students, we've moved up the level that students read. It used to be, kindergarten was kind of a plaything. Well, now our students at the end of kindergarten, they can read.
That's so cool.
And our test scores just keep shooting up. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Our elementary teachers rise to the occasion over and over and over. Every time we raise the bar, the scores go up. That's interesting, because a lot of people, I think, well, one of the keys to success is lowering the bar.
Yeah.
That's one way, but we're the other way around. We keep raising the bar, test scores go up.
That's great.
We keep making, like math, algebra used to be a high school thing. Well, algebra is in elementary.
Wow.
So, our students can do all these amazing skills at an earlier age. So when we get to middle school, we can start expanding on that. When they get to high school, they are set. They can get into pathways. They can take more challenging math classes and science classes. And it really is on the support of those awesome elementary teachers who are preparing our students so well academically. They are amazing. I tell you, elementary teachers are amazing folks.
Well, and the level of patience that I think in elementary, well, actually all teachers, elementary, junior high, and high school, yeah, but definitely. It amazes me just, I can't even, as someone who, has no background in education at all, just as a parent, but also as a community member before my parent, like I said, was in the school district, just, there's so many different aspects, that they have to apply to their students, and the level of dedication, it just truly is mind-blowing.
Well, here's what one of my sayings is, that's where the magic is in elementary. I mean, because if you walk in from the outside, you look in a room and you go, wow, this is amazing. Look at all these guys, little guys, they're reading, they're paying attention, they're following in the book, they're speaking up, they're participating, they're working in teams. And you think, this is magic. But if you talk to the teachers and you really look at what they're doing, it's hard work.
Oh, I'm sure.
All the curriculum work that's done on the summer, all the efforts to get our curriculums aligned, that all our buildings are doing the same things, those teachers work extremely hard off-season and outside of that class time to make it successful. So it's almost like magic is not a big enough word for what they do.
Can I ask, and I know I've got to get back to our topic, but just real quickly, what prompted you to go into education? Do you mind me asking?
Wow, that's a good question. I think part of it was, I was one of those students that came out of poverty. I was a military kid, but there was a time after that we came out of poverty. And, I know what that's like. And there were teachers that amazingly saw things in me that I never saw in myself. And they said, you can go to college. You can do better than the environment you're in. And they said it enough to me that it kind of sold me on it. And so somehow I went to school. I was very fortunate to get grants and things like that. And I thought, I'm going to give back. These people believe in me, and it's education that got me out of poverty. So I'm thinking, okay, this is what I need to do. And when you get into that classroom and you see all that potential, and you think, somebody did this for me, now I get to give back.
That's awesome. That is so cool. That is so cool. And I bet you never would have thought back then that you would be here now, superintendent of USD 305, a very awesome school district in the state of Kansas.
Well, that's interesting, because one of the joys of being your superintendent is I get to go out to the buildings. So this morning I was in one of our middle schools, Lakewood. Lakewood Middle School, awesome building.
Yes.
And so while I'm there, I'm looking at all these middle school students, in the gyms before school, and I always go up to the teacher and I always say, isn't this awesome? All this potential. And they work with them every day, so they're enthusiastic, but maybe not what I have for enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And I always say, I sure hope nobody ever goes back and talks to my middle school teachers. Because they'll say, we're not too sure about this boy. But that's one thing that we're supposed to do as educators, is say, the potential is there in you.
Yeah.
You're an amazing, amazing student, amazing kid. The potential is there. Let's help you reach it.
Definitely. Well, hey, tell me, okay, we kind of talked a little bit, about the career technical education a little bit, but tell me about the, we talked about that. You're very good. I have this cheat sheet, and you're good. You've kind of talked about all this, actually. And have we talked a little bit about the bond up to, I don't know. Tell me, what would you like to talk about? Because I think you've hit everything on my list. You've made it I'm very lucky. Salina, just know the superintendent's right on, because I didn't have to do anything. You just stepped right in. But tell me, what, in addition to meeting you, because this is your first time in Superintendent's Corner, and you've just done an amazing job sharing with us about your background, your passion, and just your experience in this small amount of time. But what would you like to share with us?
Here's one thing that of the great impressions that I've had, and this is so true. I've heard other communities say that they're giving communities. I've never been in a community that does it at the level that Salina does. It is just amazing. Things such as CAPS.
Yeah.
What an incredible program.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is just amazing what we do for kids in this community, because that organization, which is contributed to, and that's how it happens. The arts that we have here, there are great people in this community that support the arts.
Yeah.
It is phenomenal. Another thing I just want to point out are the Salina Education Foundation. If you don't know what the Salina Education Foundation, I would really encourage you to look into it. It supports our school district, and I don't know if folks know, there is a teacher shortage. Right now, this far into the school year, there are still 400 jobs that are open in Kansas, teaching jobs, that are unfilled.
Wow.
Salina has it made.
Cool.
And that's maybe a little bit strong, but we are in good position. So we have, in each of our high schools, or at least one of our high schools right now, we have that teaching pathway. So we're kind of serving ourselves a little bit, but we're growing our own. Here's the exciting part for Salina. So we have these students that are coming through high school. They say, I kind of like to be a teacher. So they get on that pathway, and we show them what it's really like. It's just not show up every day and teach. So we talked to them about this. We talked to them about they're in the golden age right now, one of the golden ages of education. And so when they get ready to go to college, they can work with the Salina Education Foundation to receive grants to help pay their way through college.
That is so cool, and such a blessing. All of us that have student loans or ever experienced those back in the day.
Right.
Yeah. No, that's an amazing opportunity.
And here's the icing on the cake. This is a part of it. We have Horizon Award winners. Horizon Award winners are first-year teachers that are just outstanding. One thing I should have to say is the teachers that are coming out of school right now are amazing. They know pedagogy. They understand the power of relationships. That's what is so amazing. When we were students probably, our teachers taught material. The teachers of today teach kids.
Yeah.
You can just feel it. It's different. So one of our Horizon Award winners, one of our outstanding first-year teachers, is one of our students who benefited from the Salina Education Foundation grants. And they are teaching in our district right now, and that is an elementary teacher who is amazing. She is phenomenal. What
a great testimony to just the Salina Education Foundation, USD 305. Talk about planting seeds and seeing what a beautiful effect that this student who was a recipient of this award is now teaching in the school. That's just, you can't just pat yourself on the back enough on that one. That's just amazing.
That's a community pat on the back. It really is.
But that's what's so great though. But it takes, just like you said, just the community. It just takes so many different hands and so many people invested. And like you said, Salina is extremely giving, and we have such a great school district and such a great board. and community members and teachers and administrators, and truly, because you couldn't plan or scheme that. That comes naturally, you know. I mean, and so what a great testament. That's just,
Thank you.
Isn't that great? I mean, how cool is it for you? I mean, you come into just such a great situation, and you're just continuing to help spread the greatness. I mean, how awesome is that?
Well, it is phenomenal. I just have to really say, it starts with a community that cares about its kids.
Yeah.
That is willing to graciously pass that bond issue so we could have schools that are cutting edge. And our students can learn in places where they can actually see, okay, this makes sense to me. So that's powerful in itself. So it starts with that, and we do have good leadership. We have a board that has high expectations, and that is really healthy.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. They set the tone for us as a district. So all the way from our Board of Education, our community, works all the way through our district. So it's inspiring. It makes you enthusiastic.
Yeah.
And when I'm in the buildings, I go through the buildings, I go, man, everything's good in the world, you know.
So, not to put you on the spot, but do you happen to have a particular age or grade level that you prefer? I mean, I'm sure you love going into all the classrooms, but are you particular to a certain level? And if not, that's okay. But I'm just asking.
Wow,
and there's no right or wrong answer.
That's really putting me on the spot.
I know. You didn't know this, did you? I didn't prep him for that. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, my first teaching job was as a middle school teacher in Topeka, Kansas. So I have this thing about middle school kids because the energy, the age, the adolescence. You know, you have boys that are this tall, and you have boys that are this tall, and you have girls that are this tall, you know, over the boys.
Yeah.
And they're all growing, and there's that enthusiasm. The potential of the elementary. When I sit in a kindergarten room, like I did the pledge for the first graders last week at Sunset. And I saw those kids, and I read a book to them. And as I'm looking at them, I say, oh my gosh, isn't this amazing? All this potential. All these awesome kids here, and these are the people that are going to be leading us.
Yeah.
These are going to be our people building our houses. These are going to be the kids that are someday be your doctor. And so I'm looking there, I'm thinking, wow, isn't that amazing? The thing about going through the high schools is you get to see the cumulative effort. And you know, sometimes when people see high school kids, they see kids. But you know, you look at each of those students has all this in them. And when they leave us, the sky really is the limit. Right now, we are living in one of the golden ages of education, I feel like, because we know all the research. We have students that are there and because they want to be, not always because they have to be.
Yeah.
And that's exciting. So, I don't know, middle school maybe because that was my start, but oh my, just getting through all the buildings, it's inspiring.
Oh, I'm sure. I am sure. Oh my gosh. You know, my heart always goes to people in the education profession because it just, not to be cliche, but you were so planting seeds in so many important areas. And, you know, it just takes one teacher, one administrator, one lunch lady, custodian, whatever, to give that positive reinforcement to that student, whatever it may be. It may just be, hey, hope you're having a good day, or, you know, affirming, you know, you did really great on that, you know, homework assignment, whatever it is. But all the individuals have such a powerful impact on our kiddos, which later, you know, it transforms our community, and just, it's just so cool how it all kind of relates and you know, correlates and turns around. So I'm just must tell you, I'm just so glad that you came in the program, and no pressure on camera, not like I haven't done this to you a few times today, but you got to come back, because we love to have updates and hear about all the great things, because just in my experience, 305 is always happening. You guys are kind of hard to keep up with, but that's a good thing. But we want to have you back, but I'm so glad I got to meet you and share with you, and I'm just so happy that you just love what you're doing, and we just love the fact that you're here, and you're our superintendent, and you're here with our kiddos. That's awesome. And our school board and the administrators and the teaching staff and all the schools. And I feel like I'm always forgetting somebody. I feel like it's an Academy Award, like I'm forgetting to thank somebody. But I'm so glad you're here, and just, you know, you can just tell you just really love what you're doing, and that's that's so rewarding. So thank you for sharing with us, and your experience. And I know it's been brief, but you know, you got to be here for a while because we need you, you know,
well,
and you're so appreciated.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I do get many affirmations. I really do. I mean, it does make you feel good when, you know, the staff says, "Oh, Dr. Hardy, we're so glad you're returning." Or, you know, the students that are getting to know me now, I see them in the halls, "Dr. Hardy," you know, it's really awesome.
That's so cool.
It makes you feel very good.
Yeah.
And so it is easy to come to work each day. I don't even consider it work. Work is something that you have to do. I get to do this. But I just want to affirm to the Salina community that because we are a community school and we get great support, you know, it's like that that enduring love, you know, it just does not stop. So we appreciate that, and it is encouraging. And I know it makes our staff feel good. It makes them inspired as well. And we just keep sending us your kids. We're excited.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm so glad you came on the program today, and we will see you soon.
You bet.
Down the road. But thank you so much for sharing and for letting us get to know you a little better and just sharing all the great things that are happening with our school district. And we're so glad you're here. And we're so glad that you got to watch our program, and thank you so much.